The development process of China's electronics and telecommunications industry. Over the past few decades, China has emerged as a global leader in the electronics and telecommunications industry. The country's rapid economic growth, large population, and skilled workforce have helped to create a thriving industry, with many of the world's largest electronics and telecommunications companies now based in China. The development of China's electronics and telecommunications industry began in the 1980s, when the government began to liberalize the economy and encourage foreign investment. This created a favorable environment for the development of the industry, as foreign companies began to invest in China and establish production facilities and research centers. As the industry grew, Chinese companies began to emerge as major players in the global market. Companies such as Huawei, STA, and Lenovo have become household names in the electronics and telecommunications industry, with a significant presence in markets around the world. These companies have been able to compete effectively with established players from Europe, Japan, and the United States. Due to their low cost of production, skilled workforce, and ability to innovate quickly. One of the key factors driving the growth of China's electronics and telecommunications industry has been the country's large and growing consumer market. China has the world's largest population, and as its economy has grown, so too has its middle class. This has created a huge demand for electronic devices and telecommunications services, providing a major opportunity for domestic and foreign companies alike. Another important factor driving the growth of China's electronics and telecommunications industry has been the government's support for the industry. The government has provided significant funding for research and development, as well as tax incentives and other forms of support for domestic companies. This has helped to create a favorable environment for the industry to thrive, and has encouraged innovation and the development of new technologies. The development of China's electronics and telecommunications industry has had a significant impact on the country's economy and society. The industry has created millions of jobs, both directly and indirectly, and has contributed significantly to economic growth and development. It has also helped to improve the quality of life for many Chinese people, by providing access to new technologies and services. However, the growth of China's electronics and telecommunications industry has also raised concerns about intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices. Some foreign companies have accused Chinese companies of stealing their intellectual property and engaging in unfair trade practices, such as dumping products on foreign markets at below market prices. To address these concerns, the Chinese government has implemented policies aimed at protecting intellectual property and promoting fair trade practices. The government has also encouraged Chinese companies to focus on developing their own intellectual property and brands, rather than relying on foreign technology and designs. In recent years, China's electronics and telecommunications industry has continued to evolve and expand, with a growing emphasis on innovation and technological development. The government has set ambitious targets for the industry, aiming to transform China into a global leader in areas such as 5G technology, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things, IoT. To achieve these goals, the Chinese government has implemented a range of policies aimed at promoting innovation and technological development. These policies include increased funding for research and development, the establishment of innovation centers and technology parks, and incentives for companies to invest in new technologies and products. One area where China has made significant strides is in the development of 5 grams technology. Chinese companies such as Huawei and STA have been at the forefront of 5 grams development, and have secured contracts to build 5 grams networks in countries around the world. China is also home to the world's largest 5 grams network, with over 700,000 5 grams base stations in operation as of 2021. Another area where China has made significant progress is in the development of artificial intelligence, AI. Chinese companies such as Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent have been investing heavily in AI research and development, and China has become a major player in the global AI industry. The government has also established a national AI development plan, aimed at promoting the development of AI technologies and applications across a range of industries. In addition to 5 grams and AI, China's electronics and telecommunications industry is also making significant progress in the development of the Internet of Things, IoT. The government has identified IoT as a key area for future growth, and has set targets for the development of IoT technologies and applications. Chinese companies are investing heavily in the development of IoT devices and services, with a focus on areas such as smart homes, smart cities, and industrial automation. Overall, the development of China's electronics and telecommunications industry has been a remarkable success story. Driven by a combination of favorable economic conditions, government support, and a focus on innovation and technological development. As China continues to invest in new technologies and products, the industry is likely to play an increasingly important role in the country's economic development and global competitiveness. One area where China's electronics and telecommunications industry is also making significant progress is in the development of electric vehicles, EVs. The Chinese government has set ambitious targets for the development and adoption of EVs, with the aim of becoming a global leader in the production and sale of electric cars. Chinese EV manufacturers such as BYD, NIO, and Speng have been making significant strides in the development of EVs, with a focus on producing affordable, high-quality electric cars for the domestic and international markets. China is now the world's largest market for EVs, with over 1.3 million electric cars sold in 2020. To support the development of the EV industry, the Chinese government has implemented a range of policies, including subsidies for the purchase of EVs, tax incentives for EV manufacturers, and investment in the development of charging infrastructure. These policies have helped to create a favorable environment for the development of the EV industry, and have encouraged companies to invest in new technologies and products. Another area where China's electronics and telecommunications industry is making significant progress is in the development of renewable energy technologies. China is now the world's largest producer of solar panels and wind turbines, and is investing heavily in the development of other renewable energy technologies such as geothermal, hydropower, and biomass. Chinese companies such as Trina Solar, Jinko Solar, and Longyi Solar are now among the largest solar panel manufacturers in the world, and are helping to drive down the cost of solar energy. China is also home to the world's largest wind power market, with a rapidly expanding fleet of wind turbines that are helping to reduce the country's reliance on fossil fuels. Overall, the development of China's electronics and telecommunications industry has had a significant impact on the country's economic development and global competitiveness. As the industry continues to evolve and expand, it is likely to play an increasingly important role in shaping the future of China and the world. One of the key challenges facing China's electronics and telecommunications industry is the need to balance growth with sustainability and environmental responsibility. The industry is a major consumer of energy and resources, and has the potential to generate significant environmental impacts such as greenhouse gas emissions, waste generation, and water pollution. To address these challenges, the Chinese government has implemented a range of policies aimed at promoting sustainable development in the industry. These policies include regulations on energy efficiency, waste management, and pollution control, as well as incentives for companies to adopt more sustainable practices and technologies. For example, the government has established energy efficiency standards for electronic products, and provides incentives for companies to produce more energy-efficient devices. The Qin Dynasty and the unification of China. The Qin Dynasty, also known as the Qin Empire, was the first imperial dynasty of China, and marked a significant turning point in Chinese history. The dynasty was founded by Qin Shi Huang, who unified the various warring states of China and established a centralized government. Under the Qin dynasty, China experienced significant social, economic, and cultural changes. The government implemented policies aimed at promoting agriculture and improving irrigation systems, which helped to increase crop yields and improve the standard of living for many people. The Qin dynasty also standardized weights, measures, and currency, which helped to promote commerce and trade. One of the most significant achievements of the Qin dynasty was the construction of the Great Wall of China, which helped to protect China from the invasion of northern nomadic tribes. The Qin dynasty also made significant advances in military technology, such as the development of the crossbow, which helped to strengthen China's military power. Despite these achievements, the Qin dynasty faced significant challenges and difficulties. The government implemented harsh policies aimed at promoting stability and suppressing dissent, which led to widespread social unrest and rebellion. The dynasty also faced significant economic challenges, such as inflation and a shortage of resources. The Qin dynasty came to an end in 206 BC, following the death of Qin Shi Huang. The collapse of the dynasty was marked by a period of chaos and instability, which saw the emergence of rival warlords and factions. However, the legacy of the Qin dynasty continued to be felt in China, particularly in the area of governance and administration. The centralized government established by the Qin dynasty laid the foundation for future dynasties. And many of the policies and institutions developed by the Qin dynasty were adopted and adapted by subsequent rulers. The Qin dynasty marked a significant turning point in Chinese history, and the achievements and contributions of the dynasty remain an important part of China's rich cultural heritage. The legacy of the Qin dynasty continues to shape Chinese culture and the society today, and serves as a reminder of the importance of unity, governance, and innovation in achieving national success and prosperity. The Qin dynasty was also known for its contributions to literature and scholarship. The dynasty standardized the Chinese writing system and established a system of uniform script, which helped to promote literacy and the spread of knowledge. The Qin dynasty also established a state academy, which was responsible for training scholars and officials in the Confucian classics. The Qin dynasty was also known for its legal reforms, which aimed to promote social order and justice. The dynasty established a comprehensive legal system, which included written laws, punishments, and court procedures. These reforms helped to promote social stability and the rule of law in China. One of the most well-known achievements of the Qin dynasty was the Terracotta Army, a collection of life-size terracotta sculptures representing the armies of Qin Shi Huang. The Terracotta Army was discovered in 1974 and has since become a major tourist attraction and a symbol of China's rich cultural heritage. Despite these achievements, the Qin dynasty was also known for its brutality and authoritarianism. The government implemented harsh policies aimed at suppressing dissent, and many people were subjected to forced labor and other forms of exploitation. The dynasty also faced significant challenges and resistance from the aristocracy and other powerful groups, which contributed to the collapse of the dynasty. The Qin dynasty marked a period of significant change and development in Chinese history. The dynasty's achievements in areas such as governance, literature, and law laid the foundation for future dynasties. While its contributions to culture and scholarship continue to be celebrated and studied today. The legacy of the Qin dynasty serves as a reminder of the importance of unity, innovation, and justice in achieving national success and prosperity. The Qin dynasty also made significant contributions to the development of Chinese philosophy and religion. During the Qin dynasty, legalism emerged as a popular philosophical and political ideology. Legalism emphasized the importance of strict laws and harsh punishments in maintaining social order and promoting obedience to the state. The Qin dynasty also saw the emergence of new religious and spiritual traditions, such as Taoism and Mohism. Taoism emphasized the importance of living in harmony with nature and the universe, while Mohism emphasized the importance of universal love and social harmony. The Qin dynasty was also known for its architectural and engineering achievements. The dynasty constructed a number of impressive buildings and structures, including the Qin Shi Huang Mausoleum and the Link Canal. The Link Canal was a major engineering feat, and helped to promote trade and commerce in China. Despite these achievements, the Qin dynasty faced significant challenges and difficulties. The dynasty's harsh policies and emphasis on centralization and control led to widespread social unrest and rebellion. The dynasty also faced significant economic challenges, such as inflation and a shortage of resources. The Qin dynasty came to an end in 206 BC, following the death of Qin Shi Huang. The collapse of the dynasty was marked by a period of chaos and instability, which saw the emergence of rival warlords and factions. The Qin dynasty marked a significant period of change and development in Chinese history. The dynasty's contributions to philosophy, religion, architecture, and engineering continue to be celebrated and studied today. While its legacy serves as a reminder of the importance of balance, harmony, and innovation in achieving national success and prosperity. Following the collapse of the Qin dynasty, a period of political and social turmoil known as the Chu Han contention emerged. This period saw the emergence of various warlords and factions vying for power and control over China. The Chu-Han contention came to an end in 202 BC with the victory of Liu Bang, who founded the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty marked a period of stability and prosperity in China, and is considered one of the greatest dynasties in Chinese history. The Han Dynasty was known for its contributions to literature, art, and culture. The dynasty saw the emergence of important literary works such as the Records of the Grand Historian and the Book of Han, which chronicled the history of China and helped to promote scholarship and learning. The Han Dynasty was also known for its artistic achievements, particularly in the area of pottery and ceramics. The dynasty produced many beautiful and intricate pieces of pottery and porcelain, which are still admired and collected today. In addition to its cultural achievements, the Han Dynasty made significant contributions to science and technology. The dynasty saw the emergence of important scientific works, such as the Treatise on Cold Damage and Febrile Diseases, which contributed to the development of Chinese medicine. The development of Chinese sculpture and sculpture. Chinese sculpture and carving are some of the oldest and most important art forms in Chinese culture. The history of Chinese sculpture and carving can be traced back to the Neolithic period, where simple stone carvings and sculptures were made for ritual and religious purposes. Over time, Chinese sculpture and carving developed into more sophisticated and intricate forms, with artists and artisans creating beautiful and detailed works of art. During the Han Dynasty, the art of sculpture and carving reached new heights, with artists creating beautiful and intricate jade carvings, bronze sculptures, and pottery figurines. One of the most famous examples of Chinese sculpture from this period is the Terracotta Army, a collection of life-size terracotta sculptures representing the armies of Qin Shi Huang. The Terracotta Army was discovered in 1974 and has since become a major tourist attraction and a symbol of China's rich cultural heritage. During the Tang Dynasty, Chinese sculpture and carving reached new heights of elegance and refinement. The Tang Dynasty saw the emergence of beautiful Buddhist sculptures, such as the famed Longmen Grottos, which are considered some of the most important Buddhist sites in China. In addition to its religious sculptures, the Tang Dynasty also saw the emergence of beautiful and intricate tomb sculptures, which were created to honor the deceased and provide comfort in the afterlife. These tomb sculptures often depicted scenes from daily life, such as hunting, fishing, and playing music. During the Song Dynasty, Chinese sculpture and carving continued to develop and evolve, with artists creating beautiful and intricate jade carvings, ivory sculptures, and lacquerware. The Song Dynasty also saw the emergence of new art forms, such as the art of paper cutting and the art of seal carving. In the Ming and Qing dynasties, Chinese sculpture and carving continued to flourish, with artists creating beautiful and intricate works of art in a variety of materials, including jade, ivory, and wood. The Ming and Qing dynasties also saw the emergence of new styles and techniques, such as the art of cloisonné, which involved the creation of intricate enamel designs on metal objects. Today, Chinese sculpture and carving continue to be important art forms in China, with artists and artisans creating beautiful and intricate works of art in a variety of materials. Many of these works of art are on display in museums and galleries around the world, and serve as a testament to the rich cultural heritage of China. As Chinese society continued to develop and modernize in the 20th century, Chinese sculpture and carving also underwent significant changes. With the introduction of new technologies and materials, such as plastic and synthetic materials, artists and artisans began experimenting with new forms and techniques. In the years following the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949, Chinese sculpture and carving became increasingly politicized, with artists and artisans creating works of art that reflected the values and ideals of the Communist Party. Many of these works of art were created for public spaces and were intended to promote socialist values and propaganda. In the decades that followed, Chinese sculpture and carving continued to evolve, with artists and artisans exploring new forms and techniques. In the 1980s and 1990s, Chinese artists began to experiment with new materials and techniques, such as performance art, installation art, and video art. Today, Chinese sculpture and carving continue to be important art forms in China, with artists and artisans creating works of art that reflect the diversity and complexity of contemporary Chinese society. Many of these works of art are created for public spaces and are intended to engage with audiences and promote dialogue and exchange. In recent years, Chinese sculpture and carving have also become increasingly internationalized, with Chinese artists and artisans exhibiting their works of art in galleries and museums around the world. This internationalization has helped to promote greater understanding and appreciation of Chinese culture and art. Despite the many changes and developments that have taken place over the centuries, Chinese sculpture and carving remain an important part of China's rich cultural heritage. From the ancient stone carvings of the Neolithic period to the contemporary works of art being created today, Chinese sculpture and carving continue to captivate and inspire audiences around the world. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in traditional Chinese sculpture and carving techniques, as artists and artisans seek to preserve and promote these important art forms. Many young artists are studying traditional techniques, such as wood carving and jade carving, in order to continue these traditions into the future. In addition to the preservation of traditional techniques, there has also been a growing interest in contemporary Chinese sculpture and carving, with artists and artisans exploring new forms and techniques to create works of art that reflect the changing face of Chinese society. Many of these works of art engage with social and political issues, such as environmental degradation, urbanization, and inequality. One of the most important recent developments in Chinese sculpture and carving has been the emergence of new technologies and materials. With the advent of 3D printing and other digital technologies, artists and artisans are now able to create works of art that were previously impossible to make by traditional means. The use of new materials has also opened up new possibilities for Chinese sculpture and carving, with artists and artisans experimenting with materials such as glass, resin, and recycled materials to create works of art that are both beautiful and environmentally sustainable. Despite these innovations, traditional techniques and materials still play an important role in Chinese sculpture and carving. Many artists and artisans continue to use traditional materials such as jade, wood, and bronze to create works of art that reflect the rich cultural heritage of China. In conclusion, Chinese sculpture and carving have a long and rich history, and continue to evolve and change in response to the changing face of Chinese society. From the ancient stone carvings of the Neolithic period to the contemporary works of art being created today, Chinese sculpture and carving remain an important part of China's cultural heritage and identity. The preservation and promotion of these important art forms will continue to be an important task for future generations of artists and artisans. One example of this is the Bird's Nest Stadium in Beijing, which was the centerpiece of the 2008 Summer Olympics. The stadium was designed to resemble a bird's nest and features intricate steel sculptures and carvings that reflect traditional Chinese design elements. Another example is the cloudscape sculpture in Shenzhen, which was created by Chinese artist Han Meilin. The sculpture features a series of interconnected steel circles that are meant to resemble clouds, and serves as a symbol of the city's rapid development and growth. Chinese sculpture and carving have also been increasingly used in contemporary art exhibitions and galleries. Many contemporary Chinese artists are incorporating traditional techniques and materials into their works, creating a fusion of the old and the new. One example of this is the work of artist Xu Bing, who creates large-scale installations using traditional Chinese materials such as rice paper, ink, and calligraphy. Xu's work explores themes of language, communication, and cultural identity, and has been exhibited in galleries and museums around the world. In addition to its use in public art installations and contemporary art exhibitions, Chinese sculpture and carving continue to be an important part of everyday life in China. Traditional sculptures and carvings are still used in religious and ceremonial contexts, and are often found in homes and public spaces throughout the country. One example of this is the work of artist Ai Weiwei, who has gained international recognition for his large-scale sculptures and installations that explore themes of social and political commentary. The Han Dynasty and its contribution to Chinese culture and economy. The Han Dynasty, which lasted from 206 BCE to 220 CE, was one of the most important periods in Chinese history, and its contributions to Chinese culture and economy are still felt today. Under the Han Dynasty, China experienced a period of stability and prosperity, which allowed for significant cultural and economic development. The Han Dynasty is credited with the development of many important inventions and innovations, including papermaking, the compass, and the water clock, which had a profound impact on Chinese culture and economy. One of the most important contributions of the Han Dynasty to Chinese culture was the development of Confucianism as a dominant philosophy. Confucianism emphasized the importance of filial piety, respect for authority, and the pursuit of education and self-improvement. Confucianism played an important role in shaping Chinese culture and values for centuries to come. The Han Dynasty also saw significant developments in the arts, including the development of calligraphy, painting, and sculpture. During this period, artists and artisans created beautiful works of art that reflected the values and ideals of the Han Dynasty. In addition to its cultural contributions, the Han Dynasty also had a significant impact on the Chinese economy. Literature and philosophy. The Han Dynasty saw the development of Confucianism as the dominant philosophy in China. The works of Confucius and Mencius were studied and promoted during this period, and many Han emperors emphasized the importance of education and scholarship. The Han Dynasty also saw the development of classical Chinese literature, including the creation of the 5 classics and the 4 books. Technology and innovation. The Han Dynasty was a period of significant technological innovation in China. The invention of paper, the watermill, and the compass were all developed during this period. The Han Dynasty also saw advancements in agriculture, including the introduction of new crops and irrigation systems. Trade and commerce. The Han Dynasty saw the growth of trade and commerce, both domestically and internationally. The establishment of the Silk Road facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures between China and other civilizations. The Han Dynasty also saw the development of a monetary system, which helped to promote trade and commerce. Centralized government and administration. The Han Dynasty established a centralized government and administration, which helped to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of governance in China. The establishment of a bureaucracy and the implementation of a legal code helped to create a more stable and predictable environment for economic and cultural development. The Han Dynasty introduced many important economic reforms, including the establishment of a standardized currency, the taxation of landowners, and the creation of a system of canals and waterways that allowed for the efficient transport of goods and people. Under the Han Dynasty, China also became a major center of trade and commerce. With the establishment of the Silk Road trade network, which allowed for the exchange of goods and ideas between China and the West. The Han Dynasty also played an important role in the expansion of Chinese territory, with the establishment of a centralized government and the conquest of neighboring territories. This expansion allowed for the spread of Chinese culture and influence throughout Asia. Despite its many achievements, the Han Dynasty also faced significant challenges, including economic inequality, corruption, and political instability. Eventually, the Han Dynasty was overthrown by the Three Kingdoms period, which marked the beginning of a new era in Chinese history. The Han Dynasty also made significant contributions to the development of Chinese literature, which had a profound impact on Chinese culture and society. During this period, many important works of literature were produced, including the Book of Han, which chronicled the history of the Han Dynasty, and the records of the Grand Historian, which provided a detailed account of Chinese history from the earliest times to the Han Dynasty. The Han Dynasty also saw the development of many important philosophical and religious movements, including Taoism and Buddhism. These movements had a profound impact on Chinese culture and society, and continue to be important influences on Chinese thought and belief systems today. In addition to its cultural and intellectual contributions, the Han Dynasty also made significant advancements in science and technology. During this period, Chinese scientists and inventors made important discoveries in the fields of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. One of the most important achievements of the Han Dynasty was the invention of the seismoscope, which allowed for the detection of earthquakes. The Han Dynasty also made important contributions to the development of Chinese agriculture, which was essential to the growth and prosperity of Chinese society. During this period, many important agricultural innovations were introduced, including the use of irrigation systems, crop rotation, and the cultivation of new crops such as rice. Overall, the Han Dynasty was a period of significant cultural, intellectual, and economic development in Chinese history. Its contributions to Chinese culture and economy continue to be felt today, and its legacy has had a profound impact on the development of Chinese society and culture. The Han Dynasty also made significant contributions to the development of Chinese architecture, which had a lasting impact on the country's built environment. During this period, many important architectural innovations were introduced, including the use of brick and stone in construction, and the development of new techniques for building roads, bridges, and other infrastructure. One of the most important architectural achievements of the Han Dynasty was the construction of the Great Wall of China, which was built to protect the northern borders of the empire from invading forces. The Great Wall was a massive undertaking, and required the labor of thousands of workers over many years. The Han Dynasty also saw significant developments in urban planning and design, with the establishment of many new cities and the construction of impressive civic buildings and public spaces. Many of these cities were designed with a strong emphasis on functionality and aesthetics, and served as models for urban planning in China for centuries to come. In addition to its architectural achievements, the Han Dynasty also had a significant impact on Chinese fashion and textiles. During this period, many important innovations were introduced in the production of silk and other textiles, which became important export products for China. The Han Dynasty also saw significant developments in the field of medicine, with the introduction of new treatments and therapies for a wide range of illnesses and diseases. Chinese doctors during this period made important discoveries in the fields of anatomy, pharmacology, and surgery, and developed many important treatments and remedies that are still used today. The Han Dynasty also had a significant impact on the development of Chinese music and dance. During this period, many important musical and dance traditions were developed, including the use of instruments such as the paipa, guqin, and dizi, and the development of new dance styles and techniques. Music and dance played an important role in Han society, and were often performed at important ceremonies and events. Many of these musical and dance traditions continue to be practiced in China today, and have become an important part of Chinese cultural heritage. The Han Dynasty also had a significant impact on the development of Chinese cuisine. The development of China's energy and environmental industry. China has become one of the world's largest energy consumers and producers, and its energy industry is expanding rapidly. With its focus on both economic growth and environmental protection, China has made significant strides in recent years towards developing sustainable and clean energy sources. In the past few decades, China has made remarkable progress in its energy and environmental policies. The country has invested heavily in renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, hydro, and biomass, and has become a global leader in this field. In 2020, China was the world's largest producer of solar photovoltaic, PV, and wind power, accounting for about 40% of global production. The country has also invested heavily in nuclear energy, with 50 nuclear reactors currently under construction, and plans to have 70 gigawatts of nuclear capacity by 2025. In addition to its renewable energy efforts, China has also made significant strides in reducing its carbon emissions. In 2020, the country announced its commitment to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060, and has set a target to peak its carbon emissions by 2030. To achieve these goals, China has implemented a number of policies to encourage the use of clean energy and reduce carbon emissions. The country has implemented a national carbon trading scheme, which covers the power generation, steel, cement, and other industries, and has also set targets for renewable energy consumption and energy efficiency improvements. China has also been investing heavily in electric vehicles, EVs, and building the necessary infrastructure for their widespread adoption. In 2020, China was the world's largest market for EVs, with 4.5 million electric cars on the road. However, China still faces significant challenges in its energy and environmental policies. The country remains heavily reliant on coal, which accounts for over 60% of its energy consumption, and air pollution remains a major issue in many cities. To address these challenges, China has implemented a number of policies to shift towards cleaner energy sources and reduce pollution. The country has set ambitious targets for reducing coal consumption and improving air quality, and has also implemented a range of measures to promote energy efficiency and reduce waste. China's energy and environmental policies have been driven by a combination of economic, environmental, and geopolitical factors. The country's rapid economic growth has led to a significant increase in energy demand, and has also put pressure on the country to reduce its carbon emissions and environmental impact. At the same time, China's energy and environmental policies have been shaped by its geopolitical aspirations. The country has made significant investments in renewable energy and EVs as part of its efforts to become a global leader in these industries, and has also been working to secure access to energy resources and markets around the world. One of the key challenges facing China's energy and environmental policies is the need to balance economic growth with environmental protection. The country's rapid industrialization and urbanization have put significant strain on its natural resources and ecosystems, and have also contributed to air and water pollution. To address these challenges, China has implemented a range of policies aimed at promoting sustainable development and environmental protection. The country has set targets for reducing carbon emissions, improving air and water quality, and promoting the use of renewable energy and EVs. At the same time, China has also been working to improve its energy efficiency and reduce waste. The country has implemented a range of measures to promote energy conservation and efficiency, including energy audits, energy management systems, and the use of renewable energy in buildings and transportation. Despite these efforts, China still faces significant challenges in its energy and environmental policies. The country is heavily reliant on fossil fuels, particularly coal, and its energy intensity remains high compared to other developed countries. To address these challenges, China will need to continue to invest in renewable energy and EVs, as well as in technologies to reduce carbon emissions from fossil fuels. The country will also need to implement more effective policies to promote energy efficiency, reduce waste, and improve air and water quality. China's energy and environmental policies have also had significant impacts on the global energy landscape. As one of the world's largest energy consumers and producers, China plays a critical role in shaping global energy markets and policies. China's investments in renewable energy have driven down the cost of solar panels and wind turbines, making these technologies more affordable and accessible for countries around the world. The country's investments in EVs have also helped to drive down the cost of batteries and other components, making these vehicles more affordable and popular. At the same time, China's investments in fossil fuels have also had significant impacts on global energy markets. The country's demand for coal has helped to drive up global coal prices, while its investments in oil and gas have helped to secure access to these resources around the world. China's energy and environmental policies have also had geopolitical implications. The country's investments in renewable energy and EVs have helped to position it as a global leader in these industries, and have also given it significant influence over global energy markets. At the same time, China's investments in fossil fuels have also raised concerns among other countries about its geopolitical ambitions and potential impacts on global energy security. To address these concerns, China will need to continue to engage with the international community on energy and environmental issues, and work to build trust and cooperation with other countries. Another significant challenge facing China's energy and environmental policies is the need to balance the competing interests of different stakeholders. China's energy industry is dominated by state-owned enterprises, which have traditionally prioritized economic growth over environmental protection. At the same time, China's civil society and environmental groups have become more vocal in recent years, calling for greater transparency, accountability, and public participation in energy and environmental decision-making. To address these challenges, China has implemented a range of policies aimed at promoting stakeholder engagement and participation in energy and environmental governance. The country has established environmental impact assessment procedures for major energy projects, and has also implemented public consultation requirements for certain types of projects. China has also worked to improve the transparency and accountability of its energy and environmental policies. Through measures such as public reporting of pollution data, and the establishment of environmental monitoring and enforcement agencies. Despite these efforts, China still faces significant challenges in balancing the competing interests of different stakeholders. The country will need to continue to engage with civil society and environmental groups, and work to build trust and cooperation with these stakeholders. At the same time, China will also need to continue to prioritize economic growth, while also working to reduce its environmental impact. This will require a delicate balancing act, and will likely involve significant trade-offs between different policy objectives. One area where China has made significant progress in recent years is in addressing the issue of energy poverty. Despite being one of the world's largest energy producers, China still has a significant population living without access to basic energy services. To address this issue, China has implemented a range of policies aimed at expanding access to energy services for low-income households and rural communities. The country has invested heavily in rural electrification, and has also implemented subsidy programs to support the use of clean cooking fuels such as biogas and liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. China has also worked to promote energy efficiency and conservation in low-income households, through measures such as building insulation and energy-efficient appliances. Shang Dynasty and its contribution to China's economy. The Northern and Southern Dynasties period of China's history saw the rise of the Northern Wei Dynasty and the subsequent establishment of the Eastern and Western Wei dynasties. However, it was the succeeding Sui dynasty that would bring about significant changes to China's economy and society. The Sui dynasty was founded by Emperor Wen, who unified China after a period of fragmentation and turmoil. One of the key achievements of the Sui dynasty was the establishment of a centralized administrative system, which helped to promote political stability and economic growth. Under the Sui dynasty, China saw significant developments in its economy, particularly in agriculture and industry. The dynasty implemented a range of policies aimed at promoting agricultural productivity, including the construction of irrigation systems and the promotion of new farming techniques. The Sui dynasty also saw significant developments in industry, particularly in the areas of iron and steel production. The dynasty's iron and steel industries were among the most advanced in the world at the time, and helped to promote economic growth and technological innovation. In addition to agriculture and industry, the Sui dynasty also made significant contributions to China's infrastructure. The dynasty oversaw the construction of the Grand Canal, a vast network of waterways connecting northern and southern China. The Grand Canal helped to facilitate trade and transportation, and also played a key role in promoting economic development and cultural exchange. Despite these achievements, however, the Sui dynasty faced significant challenges, particularly in the area of military conflict. The dynasty's campaigns against neighboring states and nomadic tribes were costly and difficult, and ultimately contributed to the dynasty's decline and eventual collapse. Despite these challenges, however, the Sui dynasty's legacy continued to shape China's economy and society for centuries to come. The dynasty's emphasis on centralized administration, agricultural productivity, industrial innovation, and infrastructure development laid the foundations for China's future economic growth and technological advancement. In addition to its economic achievements, the Sui dynasty also made significant contributions to Chinese culture and society. The dynasty saw important developments in literature, art, and philosophy, which continue to influence Chinese culture today. One of the most significant cultural achievements of the Sui dynasty was the development of calligraphy, which became a major art form during this period. The dynasty's calligraphers developed new techniques and styles, and their works are still highly valued and studied today. The Sui dynasty also saw the development of important literary traditions, including the writing of poetry and historical records. The dynasty's scholars produced some of the most important works of Chinese literature, including the Book of Sui and the Tang Code. In addition to literature and art, the Sui dynasty also saw significant developments in philosophy and religion. The dynasty saw the development of new schools of thought, including Neo-Confucianism and Buddhism, which had a profound impact on Chinese culture and society. The Sui dynasty also played an important role in the development of Chinese architecture and engineering. The dynasty oversaw the construction of important public works, including the Grand Canal and the Great Wall of China. These projects not only helped to promote economic development and political stability, but also contributed to the development of China's architectural and engineering traditions. The Sui dynasty also played an important role in China's foreign relations, particularly in its relationships with neighboring states and nomadic tribes. The dynasty saw significant developments in diplomacy and trade, which helped to promote economic growth and cultural exchange. One of the most significant diplomatic achievements of the Sui dynasty was the establishment of diplomatic relations with neighboring states and kingdoms, including Korea, Vietnam, and Japan. The dynasty's diplomats engaged in extensive trade and cultural exchange with these states, helping to promote economic growth and political stability in the region. The Sui dynasty also saw significant developments in trade, particularly in the area of international trade. The dynasty's merchants engaged in extensive trade with neighboring states and kingdoms, as well as with more distant regions such as Southeast Asia, India, and Persia. The dynasty's trade networks helped to promote the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies between China and other cultures, and also contributed to the development of a diverse and cosmopolitan society in China. However, these interactions also brought significant challenges and conflicts, particularly in the area of religion and ideology. Despite these challenges, however, the Sui dynasty's legacy continued to shape China's foreign relations for centuries to come. The dynasty's achievements in diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange laid the foundations for China's future interactions with other cultures and civilizations. In addition to its achievements in economics, culture, and foreign relations, the Sui dynasty also made significant contributions to China's governance and legal system. The dynasty saw important developments in administrative organization, law, and governance, which helped to promote political stability and social order. One of the key achievements of the Sui dynasty in governance was the establishment of a centralized administrative system, which helped to unify the country and promote political stability. The dynasty's bureaucrats developed a complex system of governance, which included the division of the country into provinces and the establishment of a legal code known as the Sui Code. The Sui dynasty also saw important developments in law and legal institutions. The dynasty's legal code was one of the most advanced in the world at the time, and helped to promote social order and justice. The dynasty also established a system of courts and judges, which helped to enforce the law and ensure that justice was served. In addition to governance and law, the Sui dynasty also made significant contributions to education and scholarship. The dynasty's scholars produced important works of history and literature, and also made significant contributions to the development of philosophy and religion. The Sui dynasty's emphasis on education and scholarship laid the foundations for China's future intellectual and cultural achievements, and helped to promote a culture of learning and intellectual curiosity throughout Chinese society. Despite its many achievements, the Sui dynasty was also marked by significant challenges and difficulties. One of the most significant of these challenges was the problem of social inequality and unrest. During the Sui dynasty, Chinese society was marked by deep social and economic divisions, with a small elite controlling much of the country's wealth and power. This inequality led to widespread social unrest and dissatisfaction, particularly among the peasant and working classes. To address this problem, the Sui dynasty implemented a range of policies aimed at promoting social and economic equality, including land reforms and the establishment of a national tax system. However, these policies were often ineffective in practice, and the dynasty continued to face significant challenges in promoting social and economic justice. Another significant challenge facing the Sui dynasty was the problem of military conflict and instability. The dynasty's campaigns against neighboring states and nomadic tribes were costly and difficult, and ultimately contributed to the dynasty's decline and eventual collapse. Despite these challenges, however, the Sui dynasty's legacy continued to shape China's development and identity for centuries to come. The dynasty's achievements in governance, law, education, economics, culture, and foreign relations laid the foundations. The birth of the Western Han Dynasty and the development of China. The Western Han Dynasty, which lasted from 206 BCE to 9 CE, is considered one of the most significant periods in Chinese history. The dynasty was founded by Emperor Jesu, who established his capital in Chang'an, modern-day Lebanon, and initiated a period of significant political, economic, and cultural development. During the Western Han Dynasty, China experienced an era of relative stability and prosperity. The dynasty implemented a centralized administrative system, which helped to promote political unity and reduce internal conflicts. The country also saw significant economic growth, with the development of trade, agriculture, and handicraft industries. One of the key factors behind the Western Han Dynasty's success was the adoption of Confucianism as the official ideology of the state. Confucianism emphasized the importance of social harmony, moral values, and education, and helped to promote a sense of social responsibility and respect for authority. Under the Western Han Dynasty, China also saw significant advances in science, technology, and culture. The dynasty's scholars made important contributions to fields such as astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, and the country also saw the development of significant literary and artistic traditions. Despite its many achievements, however, the Western Han Dynasty also faced significant challenges. The dynasty struggled to maintain its authority over the vast territory of China, and faced frequent rebellions and uprisings. The dynasty also faced external threats from nomadic tribes to the north and west, which required significant military resources to overcome. The end of the Western Han Dynasty marked a significant turning point in Chinese history, as the country entered a period of political fragmentation and turmoil known as the 16 Kingdoms and Southern and Northern Dynasties. However, the legacy of the Western Han Dynasty continued to shape Chinese society and culture for centuries to come. The dynasty's emphasis on Confucian values, centralized administration, and cultural and scientific development helped to establish the foundations of Chinese civilization, and continue to influence China's development and identity to this day. The Western Han Dynasty was not only a period of significant development for China, but also marked an important turning point in the country's relationship with the wider world. During this period, China saw increased contact and exchange with other cultures, particularly those to the west. One of the key factors behind this increased exchange was the development of the Silk Road, a network of trade routes connecting China to Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. The Silk Road enabled the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies between China and other cultures, and helped to promote the development of a diverse and cosmopolitan society in China. The Western Han Dynasty also saw the expansion of China's territorial boundaries, as the dynasty's armies conquered new territories and established a vast empire stretching from modern-day Vietnam in the south to Mongolia in the north. This expansion helped to promote trade and cultural exchange, and also contributed to the spread of Chinese culture and influence throughout the region. However, the Western Han Dynasty also faced significant challenges in its external relations. The dynasty faced frequent conflicts and tensions with its neighbors, particularly the nomadic tribes to the north and west. These conflicts required significant military resources and often resulted in the loss of territory and resources for China. Despite these challenges, the Western Han Dynasty's legacy continued to shape China's relationship with the wider world. The dynasty's emphasis on trade, cultural exchange, and territorial expansion helped to establish China as a major regional power, and laid the foundations for the country's future interactions with other cultures and civilizations. In addition to its political and economic achievements, the Western Han Dynasty also made significant contributions to China's culture and society. The dynasty saw the development of important literary, philosophical, and artistic traditions, which continue to influence Chinese culture today. One of the most significant cultural achievements of the Western Han Dynasty was the development of classical Chinese literature. The dynasty's scholars and poets produced some of the most important works of Chinese literature, including the Book of Songs, the Analects of Confucius, and the records of the Grand Historian. The dynasty also saw the development of important philosophical schools, including Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. These schools of thought had a significant impact on Chinese society and continue to shape Chinese culture and values today. In addition to literature and philosophy, the Western Han Dynasty also saw significant developments in the arts. The dynasty's artists produced some of the most important works of Chinese art, including pottery, jade carvings, and bronze vessels. The Western Han Dynasty also saw significant developments in architecture, particularly in the construction of large-scale public works such as the Great Wall of China and the Grand Canal. These projects not only helped to promote economic development and political stability, but also contributed to the development of China's architectural and engineering traditions. The Western Han Dynasty also made significant contributions to science and technology, laying the foundations for many of the technological innovations that would shape China's development in later periods. One of the most significant technological achievements of the Western Han Dynasty was the invention of paper. The dynasty's scholars developed a new method of papermaking, which allowed for the production of large quantities of paper at a low cost. This innovation had a significant impact on Chinese culture and society, enabling the widespread dissemination of literature and knowledge. The Western Han Dynasty also saw important developments in agriculture and irrigation. The dynasty's farmers developed new techniques for cultivating crops, including the use of fertilizer and crop rotation. The dynasty also saw the construction of large-scale irrigation systems, which helped to increase agricultural productivity and promote economic development. In addition to agriculture and papermaking, the Western Han Dynasty also made significant contributions to the fields of astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. The dynasty's scholars made important discoveries in these fields, including the development of the first accurate calendar and the invention of the seismograph. The Western Han Dynasty also saw the development of significant engineering innovations, including the invention of the wheelbarrow and the use of iron tools in construction. These innovations helped to increase efficiency and productivity in a range of industries, and lay the foundations for China's future industrial development. In addition to its many achievements, the Western Han Dynasty also faced significant social and economic challenges. One of the most significant of these challenges was the problem of social stratification and inequality. During the Western Han Dynasty, Chinese society was organized into a rigid social hierarchy, with the emperor and his court at the top, followed by the aristocracy, the common people, and slaves. This hierarchy was based on birth and wealth, and was enforced through a complex system of laws and social norms. While the Western Han Dynasty made some efforts to address this problem of inequality, including the establishment of policies aimed at promoting social mobility and reducing corruption, the dynasty was ultimately unable to overcome the deep-seated social and economic divisions within Chinese society. Another significant challenge facing the Western Han Dynasty was the problem of corruption. The dynasty's bureaucracy was plagued by corruption and nepotism, with officials often using their positions of power for personal gain.